Welcome to the Bleep Bulimia podcast with guest Russel van Brocklen.
Hello, everyone. I am Lorianne. I am the host of Bleep Bulimia. And today I'm very pleased to have Russel van Brocklen with us. He's a New York State Senate-funded dyslexia researcher. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So my audience is going to want to hear more in regards to how did you come about researching dyslexia? And of course, they're going to say, well, what does this have to do with bulimia? And you're going to tell them all about it. So thank you for being here.
Sure. So what I'm going to tell your audience is when I teach students to overcome dyslexia, I use a book called The Craft of Research, which was designed by the University of Chicago, came out in 1995. And it sold over 1 million copies, and it teaches PhDs how to do their doctoral dissertations. So I am going to show you a part of that system that I use to help dyslexics, and it's going to give you an exact and another way of looking at helping to overcome bulimia, because this book was designed to teach how to enhance knowledge in every field. All right, but how I got started, so why should you even listen to me? Well, I solved the biggest problem that we've had in American education, which is dyslexia, just because the expense is absolutely outrageous and the failure was just so horrible. So what happened was, it was the late 90s. I wanted to know how laws were created, not some class that I wanted to know. So I signed up for the New York State Assembly internship at the end of college, and I was accepted, and I showed up, and I caused a bit of a problem because I said, here's my neuropsych exam. I have a first grade reading and writing level. And yeah, it means I couldn't do the internship the way it was designed. The assembly response was, right from the speaker's office, is that they were going to accommodate the living daylights out of me, and cost was not a consideration. So they brought me over to the Majority Leaders Program and Counsel's office, because there are 3 administrative assistants that could help me out there. And they treated me like a graduate student, not an undergrad. So it was fantastic. I did an hours long presentations, hours and hours, instead of a big paper, which was a standard accommodation. So they wrapped all that up, sent back to the State University of New York Center at Buffalo's political science department, and recommended 15 credits of A-. And then after graduation, I was going to go back and, continue working for the state. Well, that didn't happen. They didn't like the accommodations at the political science department. So they said, we're lowering your recommended grade of 15 credits A- to 15 credits of F. Yeah, that was the change in my life. I gave up. Remember where I was coming from. I volunteered. Nobody asked me. It's nights, weekends, working at the Majority Leaders Program and Counsel's office. Those people don't do 9 to 5. They do, 9 to 10. 7 days a week, okay? I had a lot of credibility built up. They liked me. They liked what I did. I had all these opportunities, and I turned that away to solve dyslexia. And I actually did. So what happened is I went to my professors and I said, where can I go to force myself to learn to read and write in grad school? They said, if you like politics, it's easy. Law school. So where you read and write better than anybody. More than anybody. So then I went and audited 2 classes. And what they do in law school is they use the Socratic method. If you don't know exactly what the answer is, nobody does the first week. They keep asking you questions to embarrass you publicly until you adapt. So my second day of contracts, I was called on. At that point, the professor was a professor longer than I was alive. And that didn't happen to me. I didn't respond as a student. I responded as his equal. He's going after me. I'm going after him. We go back and forth, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Nobody's ever even heard of anything like this. Throws up his arms. He said, Rusty, you couldn't be any more correct. In the interest of time, I have to move on to the next case. I learned to read within a month. I learned to write within a couple of years. Then I went back to the New York State Senate, and I said, I want you to fund my dyslexia research program, which they don't do. And they sent me through years of going through the New York State Education Department. It was crazy, everything you could imagine. Finally, we got the funding. I wanted to work with students like me. Everybody know I cheated. I only worked with the most intelligent, the most super motivated. All right. And so these were high school juniors and seniors with severe dyslexia, super motivated, super intelligent, reading and writing at the middle school level, 1 class period a day for the school year. they increased to the average range in writing of entering graduate students. They all went on to college. They all graduated. GPAs of 2.5 to 3.6. Cost to New York State taxpayers of under $900. My best competition at the time was Landmark College. This was back in the OOs. They had a major upgrade in 2013 when they brought in a new president. But at that time, we were 3x as successful as they were for less than 1% of the cost. They were over 100 grand. We were under $1,000. All right. And that's how I got started.
That's amazing. That's a really interesting story. Fantastic. So from there, you were saying that there's methods that you've learned through your
Mhm.
processes. I'd like to learn more about or hear more about how everything progressed from there.
Well, we essentially went and moved on to, let me give you an example. The most advanced student we're working with now is Grayson. He's not dyslexic in the least. He's in the 99th percentile for math and science. Grayson he's unusually focused. He wants to get his PhD, work for NASA to terraform Mars so humans can go to Mars. To do that, he has to get published. So we're teaching his father to teach him to do advanced paragraphs right now. And then where we need to end up is we need to get him published in a major academic, in a peer-reviewed journal. To do that, what we have to do is get him past a desk rejection, which means you didn't do everything we want you to do. It's not set up, and then get it rejected by an actual professor, a peer reviewer. And then once we're done, I met another podcaster who's on the board of directors of one of the nation's top 10 technical universities. I'll contact him, get Grayson to speak to a professor and say, I've been rejected for my article. Here's the laundry list of reasons that need to get corrected. I'd like to work with you to get this published. And watch the professor's jaw drop because Grayson's on the younger side. How old do you think he is?
Younger side? I can't guess.
Grayson's 10.
Oh my gosh, that's really young.
Yes. That's how evolved we go. So what we use isn't just for dyslexics, it's for your community. So what I want to do is take a part of what we're showing Grayson. And as I said, Grayson's not dyslexic in the least. He's a gen ed, he's just a 99th percentile math and science kid. He's currently, the materials we're creating for him, he's reading at the 11th grade level, writing his comprehension of the material second year college.
Wow.
Yeah. So what I'm about to tell you should fit in with your audience. So what we're looking at here is how can we help your audience overcome bulimia? I am not going to tell you this is the only method. This is a method that I adopted from my material that gives you another way to look at it. Feel free to take parts of it, accept it as a whole, reject it as a whole, whatever you think. I'm just trying to give you some more tools in your tool belt to help overcome this concern. And the way I'm going to do it, as if we're talking about anything with dyslexia, it's going to look like it's coming out completely out of left field, like just out of nowhere. But this will make sense really quickly. All right. So what I need you to do is we're going to start off with a movie review. All right. I need you to tell me a movie that you know extremely well, you think is one of the best of all times, that everybody has seen. What's the name of that movie?
Oh, this I don't know. It depends on well, I guess if it's midlife bulimia, they might know it. Smokey and the Bandit. I love that movie.
Okay, Smokey and the Bandit. Okay, now I'm going to ask you something very difficult.
Okay.
I need you to reduce Smokey and the Bandit to a one-word universal thing that best represents that movie.
I'd just say fun.
Fun. Okay, good. Now, just so everybody knows what dyslexia is, just so we can relate to it, this is the top book in my field, Overcoming Dyslexia by Dr. Sally Shaywitz from Yale. This is the second edition. That's dyslexia. Do you
Okay.
see how the back part of your brain has this massive neural activity?
Yes.
Back part of mine has next to nothing.
Yes. Okay, so just for my
That,
listeners, I just want them to know that this is on YouTube as well if you want to actually see the pictures. But he's showing me two different brains, the one of a normal person and one with dyslexia. So that's what he's describing.
yes. So the back part of your brain has this massive neural activity. The dyslectic has next to nothing, but the front part of my dyslectic brain is 2.5 times overactive compared to yours.
Wow.
See that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, according to Yale, the front part deals with word analysis followed by articulation. So that's what we're going to focus on. And as I discussed, this works very well with Grayson. So this will work very well with your listeners. Okay. So you said fun. Now, if you were to write a proper review of Smokey and the Bandit to see if if anybody else wanted to see it, then you'd pick out your favorite actors that you think had the biggest parts of the movie and say, how did they do with the universal theme of fun? How did the director do? How did the screenwriter do? Then you'd write it up. And then if people read your review, they'll decide, do I want to see this or not? If they decide to see it, you have enhanced their experience because now they know what to look for and from whom. You didn't do the typical Harvard, Princeton, Yale graduates for the New York Times and say, this happened, and this happened, which ruins it. Okay? So, but here's the problem. This is why I am discussing this. The word fun is this broad brooch. It's like trying to deal with it's like trying to make a paint with a broad brush. We can't laser focus. That was great when it came out, back in the 80s or 70s or whenever it was?
Yeah.
Okay. You could do a broad medium and just hit the major networks. Now we need to laser focus and fun is too broad. So how do we fix that? How do we fix the universal theme? And just so you know where we're going, I'm going to be discussing how to use universal themes to help overcome bulimia. Okay? So how do we do that? How do we communicate? So in the English language, the best communicator by far was Shakespeare. So I'm going to traumatize your audience for a minute because we're going back to high school English. Don't worry, it won't last long. Let's go back to high school English. I want you to think of any Shakespeare play you ever dealt with. You had a hero. The hero wanted to do something, and based on one or more universal themes, then once you found that, then you could find the ultimate villain that would try to, which was a person, a character, or a concept, or some combination there too. They would try to stop the hero from accomplishing their goals. They had a conflict in Act 1. It escalated severely in Act 2, resolved in Act 3. Sound familiar?
Yes.
Now we have to simplify that. So let's say what we're looking for. Let's take one of your clients, for example. What you're going to need to do is change their name to protect their identity. What's their made-up name?
James.
James, okay? So what we're going to have to do with James is we would tell James to go to the artificial intelligence. Most people use ChatGPT.
Mhm.
Okay, so what we would do is we would go ahead and I'm just going to tell people, spend the $20 a month. This is really important. They just had a major model drop. It's 5.5. You're going to want to go to extended thinking. You're going to want to go to thinking and then extended thinking. This will get you a million times better results. I've been on ChatGPT since the day they dropped the $200 a month pro plan in December of 2024. I switched over to this last December. It is worth the $20 a month. Okay, so what you're going to do is you tell James to just come up with what problems he's having with bulimia and how he's trying to overcome it. And you want ChatGPT 5.5 extended thinking just to write out as many paragraphs as you can. Once you do that, you're then going to tell the AI to take each sentence and come up with the most important word that in that sentence and to list it with a customized definition, okay, for each one. And then you're going to ask the AI to come up with the 10 based on what the hero wants to do that best represents that. And you'll have 10 words, most important words, with 10 custom definitions. Now, you as the human, James is going, with your help, is going to have to pick the best one that best represents what he's trying to do. Okay? The best one. And the human has to do this. You can't rely it on the AI, because the whole point is you want James to do this with your assistance. You can't do it for him. It has to come from him. Once he has that, what you're going to do, now we're at the same problem that we had with fun, with when we looked at your universal theme for Smokey and the Bandit. You see how broad it is? It's a broad paintbrush. We can't laser focus. We went through all of that to get to this point so you understand why we're doing this. Now we have to laser focus. How do we do that? We tell the AI to come up with 100 synonyms of this universal theme. Okay, this most important word. I'm going to now call it our base universal theme. Come up with 100 synonyms and its custom definitions. So it goes and does that. Then you do the same thing. You ask it, what are the top 10 based on what the hero wants to do? And then you can guide James, but he has to make the decision which one best matches what's in his head. It's never going to be perfect. But when you find the one that matches really closely, if you're not happy, run it again. If you have to do it 6 times, you can get this done in under an hour. Once you find that word that best matches the custom definition, that's your universal theme. But since it's very close to what's actually in your head, you can now use that as a lens to come up with what characteristics are causing you to want your bulimia. Okay. And I would focus on probably 3. What is causing me through this word as a lens? Why am I doing this? And what you're going to find is you're going to get much more specific answers of what is causing the problem. Then what I would do is then use the same word as a lens. What can we do to solve this? Okay?
Yeah.
And have it come up with that. I would literally run this through 5.5 extended thinking and say, explain the causes, create a mental model of me as a person. Why am I doing this? And then mental model of me as a person. What are the solutions? And run it through. Have it create a really long report on both ends of it. Then look through and you're going to see there's a lot of good. And then ask it for, how can I use this to come up with a plan to solve this? And you're going to find that as you go through that, yeah, there's going to be some junk in there, but there's also going to be some really good ideas. And then you can take that information, come back to you. You need a senior human that knows this, an expert like you, who can then say, based on this new insight, here's what we can do. But it really helps you just get to the crux of it a lot faster. It gets you a good rough draft of how to develop a treatment plan and to understand yourself much better.
Wow.
But that's all it is. It's a beginning part. It just saves you so much time to get to a good rough draft. But because you're being so specific with that laser focused word, it just brings everything into clarity much faster than any other way I thought, in solving concerns like this.
That's really interesting because, I mean, that is one thing, of course, on my show. As you know, I have had several specialists who help with people with whether it be bulimia or any other eating disorders, because there's somewhat associated. And so this is something interesting, I hope, not just for my audience, but for the wonderful guests I've had on board. So the nice thing is my audience can go to a person who can help them with that clarity. And like you said, it'll make things a lot faster in as far as getting to the nitty gritty, down to the bottom line.
Yeah, and what you're getting as you go through this, there's just going to be a lot of AI slop in there, but there's also going to be a lot of really good ideas. And what you need the senior human expert to do is get rid of the slop, take the really good ideas, then maybe you can go back and refine it with their guidance. You really want to do this under a licensed professional, and whatever that means for wherever you are. Okay. then, but it just gets you a lot of insights that you can come in the door with. Okay. It's a really good first rough draft at that level. And it just saves you so much time to get there.
I just love this. That's really, really interesting. Funny thing is, I'm now taking a course on AI, so this is really interesting for me too. So I had not heard yet about the extended thinking, the 5.5 extended thinking. So that's going to be something I'm going to enjoy looking into as well. So
Well, what people need to realize is things that are moving so fast that what I just told you would not have worked last week.
yeah,
Yeah, people think I took a course, I'm done. I literally spend a half an hour to an hour a day to keep up on AI, and I can keep up with the most important parts. Like literally, um, just so people know how powerful this now is through the combination. I'm one of those people that 10x more productive. Like literally, I had a salesperson. She's another podcaster. Her name is Jackie. She's an adjunct professor in marketing. I'm sorry, in a curriculum design. She teaches teachers how to do curriculum design as grad students. She also has an MBA in marketing, but we're trying to get a sales process out for my main course, and she doesn't really know how to do that. She has some experience in that. So I had to create an entire sales process. Right now, as we speak, I'm having Claude Cowork using Opus 4.7 normal actually build out the second draft of the book. I started this problem less than 2 hours ago.
wow,
By the end of the day, I'm going to have an edited manuscript that's probably about 85% of what in 2019 would have cost $75,000 to $100,000.
wow.
I edit the daylights out of everything that I do. That's how I avoid the AI slop. I've created custom ways of doing that. So I just jumped in and use it. But people think, I think I figured out AI. Well, next week it's a whole new workflow. I mean, literally, that's how fast it's advancing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really appreciate this. This was very, very interesting. Really appreciate your time and sharing with my audience. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you, are they able to do that? And if so, where would they
Sure.
find?
Sure. Best thing to do is just go to dyslexiaclasses.com. That's with an S, dyslexiaclasses.com. Just go to our contact form, set up a time to speak with me, and we can discuss anything you'd like. I do, just again, so everybody knows, I do apply this to a broad range of things, coming up with solutions for people's individual problems dealing with this. And a lot of times people contact me, they're like, well, how do I take what you've done? And yes, I actually have gone and created custom solutions and get them, as I said, an edited book that's probably 85, 90% done. I always say that you have to go to senior editors to finish it off, but it's little things, and we do that all the time.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. And again, have a great day. And thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Be sure to visit me at bleepbulimia.com.